the business of today. It's not as much about having bricks and mortar and stuff. Collaboration and getting together is key, but you don't necessarily have to be all in the same room.
Welcome to Biz Stories Shared, where storytellers share their inspiration, motivation, some disappointments, and how they applied the lessons that led them to success. Stories are gifts. Listen as these gifts are shared. Now, here is your host, Charlotte Plott.
Hello, storytellers. This is Charlotte Plott here, and I'm thrilled to bring you our guest today, Matthew O'Brien. Matthew, are you ready to be a storyteller?
I sure am, Charlotte.
Good. Well, with over 20 years of experience in the digital media world, Matthew has worked for and with Fortune 500 businesses and has built companies from startup stage to exit strategy. He recently helped develop a geo-marketing platform to bridge the gap between search, social, and mobile marketing, in parentheses, GeoSomo.
You said it right.
All right. To maximize the visibility and relevancy of online businesses. In addition to founding Mint Social, Matthew has developed educational curriculum for universities on social media for businesses, is a founding board member of the Arizona Interactive Marketing Association, AZIMA in parentheses, and founder of World Webinar Network. Matthew is a mentor at ASU Entrepreneurship and Innovation Group, a speaker on social media and content marketing, and a subject matter expert for alliances. Well, Matthew, I've given our listeners just a little summary about you, so will you take a minute and tell us more about you personally, because we want to get to know you better, and then an overview of your business.
Well, I certainly can do that. Let's see, I grew up in the Chicago area, so I am a Bears fan. I'm happy to see my Bears are winning, but I still enjoy the Arizona teams, Cardinals and Coyotes. I'm a hockey player, still am doing that and
Really?
punishing my body. I also enjoy getting out. I do a lot of mountain biking. Anything in this great state of Arizona to get outside and enjoy it. Looking forward to the ski season coming up, and been a native to Arizona for going on 19 years now, and it's really feeling like home. So not sure where else I could live. This is a pretty good spot to be.
It definitely is. I really do enjoy it here coming from North Idaho. I just don't miss the snow and the ice at all.
I don't blame you. We get a little set in our nice weather pattern, and it's tough to break out of that.
That's for sure. Matthew, now I'm going to ask you to share your favorite quote. And how do you apply this to your everyday thinking?
Well, my favorite quote was given to me by my father, and he always had good fatherly advice, especially when it came to business. And he was very instrumental in helping getting my business going and continuing. And when sometimes I was associating myself with maybe not the strongest influences on advancing my career, he would share with me the quote that says, you know, you can't soar with the eagles if you're scratching with the turkeys.
That's a pretty profound one. And how old were you when he gave you this quote?
Well, I had just started my first company, Ad Foresight. We were doing web development. So that was probably around 1989, 19, oh, actually, no, sorry. It was, I was here in 96. So it was, yeah, it was about 1998, 1999 is when that he shed that wisdom on me.
Well, it certainly was a good one, and it sounds like you've applied it. And so, how would you want the storyteller listeners to apply this mantra to their journey?
Well, you know, it's you don't have to be the smartest person, but you do need to surround yourself with good quality people, and especially in today's day and age, when I had my web development company, the collaboration approach was not as widely in force as it is today. And a lot of times we looked at our competitors as the evil outsiders that we didn't want to get close to. But a good example is I helped start the Arizona Interactive Marketing Association, Azima, and that ultimately is what would be perceived as my competitors, the agencies in town, and people in the digital marketing space. We get together once a month and we share ideas. We bring in speakers from out of town, and we essentially, our mission is to help educate in the digital marketing space. And we're usually working with people that we're sometimes bidding against in projects. But I think that's just a reflection of where we're at today. You need to be sharp. You need to have sharp people around, and you can learn from all walks of life, especially your competition that you may see as someone that's against you.
Right. That sounds like a pretty powerful collaboration. So is that different than a mastermind group, or would you call it that?
It's different than a mastermind group. I've been in mastermind groups, and usually we're bringing problems that the team will or the mastermind group will help to solve. But in this case, we're identifying topics and challenges and things that are relevant for people that are in the digital marketing space. It's tough to stay on top of all of the new
Mhm.
technology and things that are important and some things that are not important. So uh, it's really more of an approach of getting smart people into a room and sharing ideas. And we usually bring a really top-notch speaker that will share that wisdom with us.
Well, that is always so important to keep on top of getting more and more wisdom because it just it's the learning curve out there can just be profound, can't it? If you don't stay
That's
on
right.
top of it.
Regardless of your age, you can't give up learning.
No, I found that out. Well, Matthew, as an entrepreneur, when you take action, you know you either win or you learn something. So, will you share with our listeners your worst entrepreneurial story? Tell us one of those times you just didn't get the results that you set out to achieve, and tell us that story, and most importantly, the lessons that you learned.
Well, it was probably my first business getting up off the ground. Thinking that I had the skill set to take on all the different roles that needed to be done as an entrepreneur. And most entrepreneurs realize you have to be a sales, you have to collect money, you have to be a marketer, and you also have to be the bookkeeper and keep everything going. Even though I had a partner, I took on maybe too much of those responsibilities. So, as an entrepreneur, you get to a point where you realize you can't do all of that on your own because something's going to fall down. And it's the hardest part of starting a business because with Mint Social, I ran into the same challenge. I was a solo guy, just started out 9 months into it. I was having a lot of success, but again, I hit that same wall where I was doing all things and I just couldn't grow and I didn't have the ability to scale my business. So it was at that point that I brought my partner, Steve Heidemann, in and realized that now I could take things off of my plate and focus on what my skill set and capabilities were, which was more on the sales and marketing side and really helping to grow the business and work closely with clients. So, there's just that point where um, if you try to do it all on your own, you just end up not advancing, and you may fool yourself into thinking that you're growing and you're on the right path, but you need to bring in a team of resources, even if you can't have them full time. The way today's resources are, you can lease loan and use people for hourly based on whatever it is, but it's just the awareness of knowing that you can't do it on your own, and I think all entrepreneurs struggle with that, especially when they're starting a business.
Yes, that really is true, and so you had the wisdom the insight from your first company, that was sort of what gave you the clue as you were in Mint Social that you couldn't go down that path again.
No, that's right. And thankfully, it only took me 9 months to figure it out. Um, and the other thing that one of the smarter things I did was I as I was starting Mint Social, I realized that there were the same story was being told over and over and over again for every it was the time when I first started my first company. The internet was just getting started. It was in 96. So I was my presentation was, have you heard of this thing called the internet? There's these websites that are going to be important, and you're going to need one. um, and when I started Mint Social in 2008, 2007, it was the story was there's this thing called blogs and social media, and
Oh,
they're going to be important. So after seeing this same presentation over and over again, I decided that I should start a seminar company. So this was around that 6 or 9 month time frame where I was thinking of, I needed more people on board. So I brought in three other experts. One was my now partner, um, Caston from the group. She
oh,
was one of the speakers, and Dave Cook, who was a sales expert, and then there were a few others. And we did seminars and educated our target audience on social media, blogging, and all the digital media things that needed to be done. And we found wild success with that. There were a lot of people that really needed that. So that was one of those things with, you're doing something over and over and over and over again. Is there a better way to do it? And thankfully that insight came about, and that really helped to put our company on the map and really get some good growth that we needed.
well, good for you. Well, did you do that with a webinar process or were these in person?
We did both. We did seminars. We did 4 hour or about 2 to 3 hour seminars, and we did webinars, and we also did breakout sessions where they were kind of workshops, roll up the sleeves and bring your laptop and get down and do some work. So we continued that for quite a while. We just didn't have a real purpose on whether we were going to go forward with that as a separate business, and Mint Social was taking off, so just kind of stepped out of that role of being an educator, and that's where I actually started Arizona Interactive Marketing Association with some other folks, and we focused on being more of an official association and nonprofit for education.
Well, you were just on the forefront of those seminars and webinars, and so it seems like that might have been hard to give that up because it seems like I think that would have been really exciting.
Yes, it was a little challenging. It was, again, I couldn't really focus on two businesses at the time that
Sure.
were in being launched, and we all kind of agreed as a team that maybe we would step out of that role and focus on our core businesses. So I think that was probably a good decision, because it's tough to serve two businesses and two
Right.
masters at once, but it's still important.
Yes, and you learned so much from stepping out and doing those webinars, and you learned how to even more how to connect with people and what they needed. So that was really a smart step for you.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. And when you review those stories, sometimes it just helps us to remember all of the lessons that you learned, and they keep helping you to move forward. So
They
that
sure
was,
do.
yeah. Well, what I want to do now, Matthew, is to go to the other end of the spectrum. Will you tell us another story about the time in your journey when you had an aha moment, when you became aware of the new path that you wanted to travel? So take us to that moment when you had the light bulb go off and through the steps that you took to turn that idea into success.
Well, I had my first company I ended up selling, and I was working for the crew that the company was sold to. And it was probably about 2 to 3 years into that process that the aha moment hit me. And we had developed a blog platform, a blog technology, and we had a large number of blogs and content writers at the time. We probably had about 4,000 blogs that we were supporting
Wow.
and maybe 70 or 80 different content writers. We actually created a system for anybody working at home, moms, people going to school could log in and grab an assignment, write content, and get paid for it. So that again was a pretty early stage business model, which many companies ended up following into that model. But the aha moment was that and the anticipation was that these blogs would be this massive form of traffic, that the blog, just having a blog and writing content would generate a ton of traffic and results. So the aha moment was that this model was wrong. Um,
Oh,
and I had realized this just by taking a look at what really happens with a blog. And it's what my aha moment is why Mint Social got started, is because I realized that a blog was nothing more than a syndication piece, a way to get information to people, but they don't necessarily have to come to your blog to read it. We have RSS feeds, we subscribe to content, and it can come in the form of your email. It can come into your social media site. So technically, the blog was a syndication hub. It's like your own Associated Press. So once I realized that we had a model that was not perfect, it needed to be altered. Uh, I said, I couldn't get the team to see my vision, and that's when I started Mint Social, based on the premise of creating an Associated Press content marketing and syndication engine for my clients. And that was over 8 years ago. And I have to say that that model is more relevant today than maybe it was back at the time when Mint Social was started.
I bet it really is more relevant today. And I just wanted to comment on your courage starting that in 2008.
Yeah, it wasn't a great year.
Well, you pulled it off. That was good.
Well, I guess you sometimes don't get to pick your timing on when you do things, but fortunately, hard work and persistence pays
That's
off.
right. Hard work and persistence. That's really the key of it, isn't it? Well, and those real life experiences help us to take the lessons learned and apply them to many facets in our business life. And that's what helps us to keep growing. So, Matthew, I'm going to ask you to bring us to the present time and to share your proudest entrepreneurial moment.
Hmm. Well, that's a tough one. I think there's a lot of moments. I don't have any one in particular, but I can share that you set certain goals and milestones for businesses, and this business, Mint Social, was really designed to be a virtual company, one that could be run anywhere in the world, uh, to be able to support people that want to work from home, and not necessarily be full time, and the ability to create that model. I read Tim Ferriss's book,
Right.
The 4 Hour Work Week, and I thought that that was brilliant. A little unrealistic, but it still gave a goal to go. I wanted that virtual company. My company prior to that, I had over 100 people working for me, and it was a lot
Oh,
of work. So, can you run a business virtually, have home offices, or go wherever, which we have multiple offices that we get together at, and be successful and still provide as good of a service as you would if you had a real company with a bricks and mortar location that everyone comes to on a daily basis. So I think it was challenging maybe for the first 2 to 3 years. There was a lot of investment in technology and cloud software and browser-based things and tools, but it was probably at that 3 to 4 year mark where we kind of turned the table and realized that we were at the forefront of what is the business of today. it's not as much about having bricks and mortar and stuff. Collaboration and getting together is key, but you don't necessarily have to be all in the same room. And we have these cooperative work environments now that have become so common that that was, kind of a pat on the back to myself and my partner Steve to say, we did it. We have actually successfully created a business, and we've gone up against very reputable larger companies that that
Sure.
have that traditional business model. And when they compare our capabilities, it really did not become a factor weighing against us, and sometimes it weighs for us. So it's just the ability to create that model, to have a virtual business and to be able to scale and to actually have a program that we created called permanent part-time employment, um, where they're contractors. They work for us 10, 20, 30 hours a week. They can set their own schedule. They get their assignments. We get together virtually every day to talk and go over projects. And that model has been wildly successful for us. And we found that there's a lot of moms that were well educated, that were in the
Right.
work environment, that took some time off to raise their children, and now they want to get back into it. And there's this group that's probably in their 30s to 40s that really gravitates towards that, and we've had a lot of success with that. So we've found really great quality people to bring onto our team that love that type of environment, and it's thriving for us.
That's wonderful that you have reached out and have helped those people that want to work that way, and it helps both of you, doesn't it? It helps you and your business, and it helps them. So I think that's really an exciting um, development that you created there for your virtual business. I like
Thank you.
that. I like that.
It's good. It feels good to be able to provide that. My sister works for me, and she did not
Oh,
enjoy the corporate life as much, and it's given her the freedom and capabilities of raising her kids, and
yeah.
making her own schedule, but being very accountable to her own work. So it's nice to be able to provide that to many people.
It definitely is. Yes. Thanks for doing that. Well, Matthew, I read on your website how Mint Social helps your clients by infusing social media marketing into an established online marketing plan, with the end result establishing their brand and helping their business grow. Would you share a little more about what you accomplish for your clients?
Sure. We are essentially the publishing arm for a business online. So our goal is to bring a targeted message to where people hang out. 3 out of 4 people online are never going to make it to a website like yours or mine. So in reality, it doesn't really matter if we can find them, interrupt them, and get them to do something wherever they consume their content online. Then we're going to succeed more so than trying to drive people back to a website. So our whole model is to come up with the content strategy in various forms. So we use social media, we use traditional content, blogs, articles, informative content, videos, press releases, anything that can get the attention of our audience. And a lot of what we do is paid advertising or paid sponsored content, where we're putting that message and we're paying for it to show up in search engines, on relevant websites and social networks, wherever we find the target audiences. And ultimately, our clients are looking for some sort of conversion metric and form of return on their investment. So those are the things that we enjoy, because we can really shine and share with them that there is a growth pattern, there's a learning curve. But most of our clients in that 3 to 6 month range of working with us, really their business starts to grow, their online strategy becomes a little bit different based on our recommendations and our implementation, and then ultimately we're driving new business, new leads. So as we can grow companies' businesses, it gives us more opportunity, and then we bring in other teams and people, because we're very specific in what we do. We're we're not a full service agency, and we don't build a bee, but we've gotten into building a lot of websites now because I used to do that in my old company, and it wasn't until I got out of the business that I realized that we had a bad model as well too. When most companies think of building websites uh, in a more traditional way versus we build sites backwards. We think of that one customer that we want to bring in, and we think of what type of page that they need to show up on, and how can we measure that to convert them into either being a customer or some sort of follow-up sequence. So we've really worked on the funnel approach to driving inbound opportunities and turning those into customers for our clients. And since we've really put our efforts towards that model. It requires a different type of client, but um, we have a lot more success, and we tend to grow with them. So the budgets get bigger. So we have a lot of internal growth lately, and which is fantastic. And it's a as a sales and marketing guy, it's a little bit easier to grow internally than trying to bring on new clients all the time, which we're also doing. But it's just good to see our clients are thriving.
Well, that does sound really exciting for you, and how wise of you to realize that that was a plan that you wanted to follow. I've seen, of course, different advertisements for the funnel, and I haven't ever really pursued it. I'm glad that
Sure.
it's working for you.
Right.
And I did want to comment, since I was talking about your website, your the word mint, your little tagline, it said something about refreshing. Would you tell us why is there a story behind your name, Mint Social?
Well, when I was coming up with ideas, I really thought about the two things that are most relevant to me. One is I'm a huge Mint fan, and the company strategy was social media was really taken off 8 years ago, and it was something that I thought was important. So Mint Social came together as an idea when I was sitting in a National Speakers Association presentation, thinking that that was a direction I was going to go in, and found the name and thought it was great. And then I've had some help with branding and positioning with some experts in the field that I've hired to bring on, and we came up with the accelerated marketing, refreshing results
Mm,
as our tagline because we really come out of the gate and we're trying to fail as early and often as we can in our marketing approach because we learn more from our failures than our successes. So if we can accelerate the things that aren't working and not focus on those anymore, and to really be results driven, then there's no gray area. There's not as much of a risk in as bringing on a company like us because we're going to stand behind the results. If the results aren't there, then we probably shouldn't be around.
right. Well, that's very brave to to know that you want to fail, and that's true. That's how you learn. After you
Absolutely.
failed, and then you take the steps to correct that, and maybe pivot, and then off you go.
That's right. You always hear the cliche, I know half of my marketing is working, I just don't know which half. And
Oh
you
dear.
know, we try to identify
Sure.
all of the successes and failures, as
Yeah.
big or small as they are, so that we can constantly. Marketing is a constant refinement of a process to improvement. So you're never going to start with the perfection, although sometimes we get lucky. Most of it is a evolving model, and that's
Hmm.
where we're committed to improving that so that we can stay in the game and help our clients.
Well, and it's more challenging that way, don't you think? Because if it was just smooth and you didn't have to look for those challenges and win, then pretty soon you'd be bored.
You would be bored, and the competition is getting smarter and smarter, and the things that
Uh-oh.
we're doing, sometimes they're learning from and emulating our process, and we do vice versa. So you're constantly reinventing yourself. I, 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 I guess if I had known that the internet was such a demanding and sometimes punishing space, I'm not sure if I would have jumped in back in '96, but here I am. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and I think it's a really important place. And we're still early in the ultimate, um, you know, age of where the internet will go. And we're doing a lot of cool things now. But 5, 10 years from now, it's going to probably look completely different.
I'm sure it will. Well, and I'm sure you'll be out there succeeding just like you are now.
I
Well,
sure hope so.
Matthew, what is one thing that's really exciting you in your business right now?
Well, the technology of the web has changed considerably, and there's we've hear about websites for mobile, websites for tablets, for desktop, apps. All of that stuff is going away. There is essentially a new type of technology we're implementing for our clients, which is it's really agnostic to whether you're on a mobile device or tablet or on your desktop. It's really how we're going to be delivering up content. So what's going on is that we're no longer building all of these little silos of technology and tools and presentations that are geared for specific types of devices. It's all becoming agnostic and all getting blended into one centralized back end and then we're feeding up the display based on what type of device you're on. But we're not building things for mobile devices anymore, or at least most companies aren't. Big companies like Amazon and PayPal have already migrated to this new type of platform, and it's going to cause it's going to take a long time for a lot of companies to catch up, but those companies that are embracing this type of model now are going to be out in front, and it's going to be tough for the rest of the competition to catch up.
Wow. Um, so I don't see anything different on Amazon and PayPal. So is it kind of an invisible
Absolutely.
change?
You as a user would not see anything different. They're huge companies and they have a massive amount of data and they need to scale. And in order to scale and to be able to adjust their platforms and how they deliver their message to customers needed to change. It's a forward thinking idea to say, 5 years from now we're going to be doing things different. What should we do today to really prepare for that? So the technology of the web is really changing quickly, and the model of building apps the way we've done in the past, most of those apps have failed. Most of them
Hmm.
don't get any use, and people are starting to say, I'd rather just go on the website because it works just as well on my mobile device or tablet as it does, and I don't really need an app. It's not that convenient for me. So, that's kind of the reality is unless you have a ton of money to get the visibility to some island that think of that as the app, then you really need to rethink why you're doing those things because in the long run, it's not going to work for you.
Hmm. So you like being out there on the cutting edge, don't you?
I do most of the time.
Well, Matthew, what's the best business advice you've ever received?
Well, it's probably going back to my father. I think that quote is very relevant that you have to surround yourself with quality people, and if people are bringing you down or aren't on board, then you need to get off the bus because they're gonna send you in the wrong direction, and as we realize to conserve our energy, we only have so much energy that we can
Right.
expend on a daily basis. We need to focus on picking the right battles and dedicating our time and efforts towards things that we have a common good or a common goal for. So you really have to weed out those things that don't fit in. It's sometimes tough to say no, but it's the only way you're going to survive as an entrepreneur is to realize which battles you should pick and which ones you should walk away from, and make sure you're aligned with the right team to get you there.
That's so true. And Matthew, maybe you already answered this question. What do you see the future of your business? Was that how you're changing your model of?
Well, we've had a lot of success with some of our clients as of recent, and they're pushing us to get more involved with helping to find more products to put into this marketing engine that we've created. And ultimately, Mint Social will find some of those products or services to do on their own.
Okay.
But currently, we really enjoy our business model. We're just growing. We've consistently grown year over year. It's been steady, sufficient growth, maintainable. But at some point, we're going to find a product or a service or something that we think is going to be fantastic, and we're going to start doing what we do for our clients for ourselves.
Oh, all right. Well, that sounds fun.
Absolutely.
Well, Matthew, can you share one of your personal habits that you strongly believe contributes to your success?
It's getting outside or getting away from my computer and getting out of the habit of thinking that I need to work all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot more working out and eating healthier and being a little bit more responsible since I'm getting older and my body isn't as isn't behaving as it did in my 30s. So uh, it's really important to take the time to get outside and collaborate, get together with people, go to groups, work out, but just get away from your computer because it's too much computer time is not good for you.
And that is so true. Those were really wise words. It's hard to do though when you're maybe struggling and you don't know if you how are you going to learn it all if you go take some time off. But you are just absolutely right. Getting out and exercising and eating healthy. Good for you for doing that.
Thank
Well,
you.
Matthew, do you have an internet resource to share with our listeners which helps with your efficiency, like Evernote or maybe an app? And storytellers, you will find the links to these sites in the show notes of today's episode at bizstoryshared.com/Matthew O'Brien.
Well, one of the habits that I've I've done is when I have an idea, I will either shoot myself a voicemail or get on my computer or my phone and just dictate the idea. I a lot of times will call myself and record a voicemail message. Google gives you a 3 minute window, so I found that 3 minutes is perfect for writing content. So if you can get into the habit of thinking through an idea and kind of telling a story and being able to capture that on an audio, then I get those transcribed online. There's a lot of transcription services that will do that for 75 cents a minute. And it's just a great way to capture great ideas that sometimes could be turned into blogs, content, or just, things that you want to structure, articles, and so forth. So that's the time saving efficiency tip that I would say anybody can do is if you got your smartphone out there and you got an idea or you want to run with some, record it and get it transcribed and see what it looks like.
I thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. So Matthew, would you describe for us who are perfect referrals for your business, and those would be business associates or clients that the listeners know that would benefit from doing business with you?
Well, right now I'm looking to reach out to Arizona companies that are in the manufacturing space, or they can be outside of the state of Arizona, but companies that are manufacturers and they have products that they're looking to bring to market, or maybe they have products in the market space that they need help with. We have a couple clients that have product in retail stores across the country, and we're helping to drive foot traffic to these bricks and mortar locations from
Wow.
the internet. The other side of the coin is that we have clients that sell product directly and they want to grow and sell more products directly. So we use a different methodology to drive traffic to their website and convert that traffic into leads. So it's kind of two forefronts, but those are the two types of businesses that we found to be extremely proficient at growing their business and finding their customers. So any manufacturing companies, assembly companies that have products that are looking to get more visibility in sales, we're looking to help them.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that because I believe that when the listeners hear who might be good clients, that kind of puts a little message in their head and they might just think about, oh, I should tell them about Mint Social. So thanks for that. Well, if you could recommend just one book to our listeners, what would it be?
Hmm. I just finished a book which was very good called Mindset.
Aha. By Carol Dweck. What is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think that that is a very relevant book for today.
right. I do too. Thank you for that one. Well, Matthew, I've truly enjoyed listening to your journey and the stories that you've shared. So, would you share one more time how we can get in touch with you and any other resources that you want us to have, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. Well, you can reach me. My email address is Matthew, Matthew, at mintsocial.com. Our website is mintsocial.com. And those that want to call and talk, you can reach me at 480-818-6468 or 480-818-MINT.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for being so generous with your time and expertise and your experiences. So, listeners, remember you can find the links to these resources and everything that we've been chatting about in today's episode by going to bizstoryshared.com/Matthew O'Brien. Thank you again, Matthew. Goodbye.
Thank you, Charlotte. My pleasure.
Give the storyteller some love. Go to bizstoryshared.com, click on the iTunes button, and give a 5-star review. Thanks.